Let's go. Welcome to the main event. Applying pressure, but I promise I ain't make it then. In their heads, living free, I ain't paying rent. Wake up in the AM, making G's like Mercedes-Benz. Whoa, yeah, please don't take offense.
Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us for the special Pinnacle announcement video. For those of you who have been on this journey with us, this last going on 2 years, it's been an incredible time. We've seen so much transformation and growth, so many lives changed, and we're about to hit another level. Joined by our CEO, Joe Basso, and our new partner, Paul McClain. How's it going, guys?
Hey, doing good, man. Good to be partnered with you guys.
What's up, boys?
Excited, man. Let's go.
I'm really freaking excited. Let's go.
Joe, when you think of this journey that we've been on,
Yeah.
how it started and where we're at today, what are some of the first thoughts that hit you?
Oh, man. If I'm being honest, dude, it's been a lot harder than what I thought it was going to be. You know, I don't think people talk about that enough.
Sure.
You could almost glorify the results and not talk enough about the work that it takes to get the results. But then we show up to these events, these lock-ins, grand openings on all these offices that we've got opening all over the country. Dude, did the lock-in last week.
Incredible.
100 agents there. It was just, it's so impactful on the days when you're tired, when you're exhausted from, you know, those long days, long weeks that kind of can compound. And it's easy, I think, for all of us, even with the best intentions, to sometimes you lose sight just for a little bit, like why you're doing what you're doing. And then you get around the agents,
Right.
the new agents in their first week, their second week, their third week, and you see that glimmer in their eye, you see that excitement, and it takes you back to when you first got started, and you see so much ahead of you. And so, dude, I feel a healthy sense of pride. I use that word carefully, but I feel a very, very healthy sense of pride in how we've moved, with the integrity that we've moved, putting the agents first. And dude, we really, for anybody that is not in the weeds at Pinnacle, and maybe you're looking on the sidelines, we really care about having profitable agents and profitable agencies. And to kind of see where some of our agents and leaders have come over the last 18 months, dude, it's really, really cool.
Yeah.
And it makes me incredibly happy. So yeah, man, I'm pretty pumped for where we are, where we've come. But I always say to everybody, Paul, you can't read your own newspaper clippings.
That's right.
The past is behind us, brother. So we stay focused on the next mission. And the core mission, people over profit, we're trying to reach the pinnacle. That's never changed. And it gets enhanced through partnerships like this one.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I think at the end of the day, dude, like massive impact is going to come from a massive mission.
Yeah.
And you got to have people that can get behind that mission. So as we connected and started talking about like the vision of the company, the status and health of the current company, I mean, it was just a testament to what has already been established, man. Like what's already taken place from day one to the moment right now we're sitting in. It's great growth. It's great success. It's people winning for themselves, winning for their family. And I think it's a beautiful thing, man. I mean, I've had a couple of years out of the industry, getting back in, and I could tell you, doing real estate, lending, investments, all kinds of different things I've had my hands on. I kind of became this like overly, serial entrepreneur just because I was like, I got to do something. As I step back in, man, it made me realize like how unbelievable this industry is, where there's just the ability for somebody to step in, like you said, a brand new agent that just has this hope. Like, man, I want to go out there and change my family's life. I want to be the one in my family that changes the trajectory for our financial situation. And they make that decision. And then what's next? Well, who are you partnering with? And I'm more convinced now, man, being 37 years old than ever before, that dude, partnership and being with the right people, that has everything to do with longevity of where you go. You might be able to go out there and create success quickly, but is it sustainable? right?
Awesome.
Does that success actually lead to significance? And the significance is not just you winning, but it's helping those behind you that were the former version of you, the you day one saying, I want to do this. I want to make a difference for my family. I want a shot, seeing them succeed. And as we've communicated and connected and looked at the system, you know, all the processes, the leads, all that stuff, that's dialed in. But the leadership of the organization, I got a chance to meet some of the leaders of the company right now. And I mean, like, it's the DNA is evident. Like, everybody has this desire to go out there and make an impact, to best serve the clients with the products and everything that's in place there, but also to go out there and best serve the agent that they're building the business with. And for me, like, where I'm at, you know, Joe and Gabe, is like, I want to just see impact. I want to make my life matter, right? And so I think at the end of the day, if you want to make your life matter, but you're locking arms with the wrong people, organizations, sometimes it makes it difficult. Like, you're beating your head against the wall.
No doubt.
I feel like with this organization, it's not just the values, it's just not what the mission that's communicated, man, it's felt, it's visible, it's seen. And I think the next like 12 months, man, like, we could 10X this thing.
No doubt.
I really believe that. My whole thought process is, how do we get to 10X this thing? Not because of just the money that comes from it, but no, the lives that will be changed. How many more stories are there now in Pinnacle 12 months from now if we're 10X in this thing, where people are like, you know, the testimonies, and you can say, man, I was in this situation, I was in this spot, and then the fulfillment that's tied to that. See, I don't know if there's any other business where you can win externally, but also win internally. Because I believe that we've all been, you know, created to give and grow. Like, fulfillment is tied to, am I giving? Am I generous? Am I giving my time, energy, resources, my knowledge, my wisdom from my failures and my lessons learned from that, the giving, and then the growth. Like, am I getting better every day? Well, I'm getting better, man. It's just getting around people that you can collaborate with, get around people where it's like that mastermind concept. Like, we've had conversations, it's like, and I leave thinking and seeing differently just because of a couple, like, you know, things back and forth that are said. And I'm like, man, now I can, this is a higher level thought. Well, that higher level thought leads to a higher level action. And
Right.
now we're looking in a higher level result. And so I just feel like, you know, the growth part of it, I'm really excited about the leadership, being able to grow and bring out the best of me because of who I'm with. And I believe a team can either suppress the best in you, or it can bring out the best in you. My goal is, I know God's given me some gifts. He's given everybody gifts. And can we put them in the right environment, the right leadership to help those gifts come to fruition? And so that's what I'm excited about, man.
Well said, dude. It's a real mission. And you said it so well. When you actually spend time, I heard it said one time, a good shepherd smells like the sheep, right? And you can't fake that. If you care about people, truly care about people inside your business, dude, they know it.
Yeah.
They know it. And the old saying, you attract what you are. Like, I believe in that so much. And so people in any industry, you know, you've been in mentorship meetings and coachings, and we all have. And you talk to some young leaders and they go, dude, my reps, my agents, my this, that, they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. It's like, well, what example are you setting? And so that's an immense responsibility.
Yeah.
It's an immense responsibility. And I feel like sometimes people can get confused because we're very faith-based, and we don't hide that at all. Obviously, that's one of the things that you and I first connected on.
Sure. Yeah.
As individuals years ago.
Yeah.
Obviously, Gabe and I met at a Christian college, and kind of full circle how I got into this industry. I had not heard from Gabe in several years. He calls me. The last I heard from him, he's in Ghana, West Africa, serving as a missionary. And he calls me. I'm like, dude, what's up? You calling me from Ghana? It's like, no, I'm back in the States. And tells me about the insurance industry. And now 4.5 years later, here we are, dude. And it's amazing how those relationships and those connections, they come full circle so many times. And you can't hide it. You see the DNA of leadership. It just trickles down into a sales organization or any organization.
Yeah.
And so an immense responsibility. My pastor always says, this is something that I think about every day of my life. He always says, Joe, if you can stay humble and you can live clean, God will use you. That's the only way God can use you, because the Bible says God resisteth the proud. So we have to stay humble. So Paul, let me ask you this question, and Gabe, chime in on this. I think something I struggled with as a young businessman, a young entrepreneur, is how can you maintain a balance between humility, confidence, and the second part to that question is how can you be content, because godliness with contentment is great gain, but also keep your foot on the gas so that you're constantly seeing forward progress in your business. I've seen both of you guys do a great job of that, and I've watched it closely and from afar. You guys seem to strike that balance well on both sides. Give me some insight, give the listener some insight on how we can strike that balance.
Sure. Well, I mean, for one, I saw it in you, Joe. I mean, we had that conversation, which is like, I've seen it happen, and it's so easy to happen. I don't judge it at all. But when somebody gets to such a high level of success, like they start to slip. They start to fall into that pride and ego. It's such an easy thing.
It is.
And then what takes place is now they become the God. And because they're not serving the only God, they can't really serve his people. And so then all of a sudden you've got this division, and it creates just a cancer within the organization. And so I believe that that's just something that everybody deals with. I don't think anybody is going to be just, have an immunity against that. But I feel like in order to counteract that, you have to have, like, for me, it's like I always realize that, all things that I have good come from God.
Amen.
Right. And so it's me not just thinking that, but I'll intentionally speak that, because I got to remind myself, because I'm not confused that as much as I can say, man, I'm humble. Well, next month I might be struggling with humility, right? It's not just like once you've got it, you've got it.
That's right.
That's a fallacy. If somebody's like, nah, it's just who I am, man. That's not, I mean, like,
It's not true.
It's not true. It takes intentionality. And so for me, like, I every time I have an opportunity to give glory to God, I vocalize it, because I want to have my ears hear it. I want that to go back into my heart, because out of the abundance of my heart, my mouth speaks. So I'm trying to speak, fill my heart, and have my heart be what, comes out of my mouth. And so, I think that's helped out a lot. When it comes to the confidence part of it, the confidence is just knowing that if I continue to keep the promises to myself, I feel like that's always been where my confidence came from. Like, even in the beginning as a new agent, when I had no place to have confidence, it's like, bro, you made 3 phone calls, bro. What are you confident about, man? Like, acting like you. Well, my confidence was, I said I was going to be there at 7:30 to get my mind right. I got my mind right. I did my visualization. I visualized myself calling this family. I put myself in a position of, I'm the doctor, they're the patient, they're asking for help. What if they pass? I've done all that, and I'll make my first call at 8. So once I do that, I start to build confidence. And I think also confidence is, it's great to borrow some confidence.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, when my 11-year-old daughter got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, I mean, I'm a man of faith. I feel like I never lack faith. I'm very optimistic. If you see it one way, I'd be like, God's going to turn it. It's going to be good. Don't worry about it. Like, I'm overly optimistic. It's like, dude, somebody's stealing something from your back pocket. I'm like, they'll bring it back. It's all good. Or more like, that's just how it is,
Paul, we're sitting in Chicago. It doesn't work that way.
Not. But hey, it's somehow spinning, but like, they're going to use it for something good. But at the end of the day, like, when that happened, dude, my faith was shook. I was like, what am I dealing with here? And I got on and I did a quick, video. And I said, hey, listen, tell me your testimonies. Tell me how God's come through for you. Because I knew in that moment, I wasn't confused that as a man of faith, I still was lacking faith in that moment. And I wanted to borrow faith from other people. And so I wanted to hear their testimonies so that can allow my faith to rise up. And I think that getting around good, confident people that care about you, that's another way to build confidence. So as I'm in rooms and you go to these lock-ins and these different meetings, that's a great way to build confidence, right? And so, I feel like the confidence also comes from knowing that God is with me and he's for me, and that he's working upstream something for good, and that he's creating me on purpose for a purpose.
Amen.
And so I think when I understand that, and it's not just something that, like, I read these affirmations in the morning, man, like forever. Like, today I'm reading this stuff because I want to be reminded that my confidence is not because of my own accord. It's because of who owns me, who says I'm valued, who says I'm accepted. And then the humility is just knowing how small I am and how big God is. I mean, going back through and seeing how many times God has shown up in my life, it keeps me humble. Like, we're talking about the health center guy. So I had no business with that. So that keeps me humble, opposed to being cocky, like, bro, I got a thriving health. It's like, no, I have no business having that. But God and my obedience and just saying, hey, I'm available, work through me. I've seen that. And as far as the second part of like the contentment, but also still being excited. I mean, I feel like when you go to scripture, like Paul's like, man, I've been, I've had a lot, I've had nothing, but I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. I think people use that scripture out of context. It's like he's saying like, I've had abundance and I've had nothing. And so I feel like, in my life, as I've gone through it, that's taken a lot of maturity.
Yeah.
To be able to get to that, not just have the joy being a destination, but the joy being in the process. Because I feel like, at the end of the day, if you're on one side of it, Joe, like if you're always chasing the next thing and you're never content where you're at, you're always chasing there, right? But once you get there becomes here.
That's right.
And then there's another there. And so you always have this like lack of joy and peace and that we're called to have in every situation, in every season. But you lack it because you're always chasing there. And so I've learned that, for me, if I could just, be excited and be happy and give God glory for wherever I'm at, he's going to best use me in that position. And the reality is like the joy a lot of times is in the journey. I love the quote that says it's not like necessarily the destination that provides the greatest benefit. It's the man you become in that journey to get there. And so like every bit as I look back in my life, it's all played a part in me being who I am today. And so now there's some goals, man. Like I'm like, dude, we can
Real goals.
yeah. Like we can grow this significantly because people need it. People need to know about it, man. They need to be exposed to it. We've been blessed. We need to be a blessing to others. Like we got to get the word out. But at the same time, as I'm going through that journey, we'll go through that journey together. I'm going to be very content. I'm going to be at peace and happy knowing that, man, God's given me breath in my lungs. And what can I do today to just go be an impact player? At the end of the day, the rest is up to him.
Yeah, dude. Well, that really spoke to me. New rule, I don't follow Paul. Because that was awesome, dude. The answer to that question for me goes back to how you started this when we talk about where we are at Pinnacle today. And you're like, I didn't know it'd be this hard. I remember first coming into the industry and sharing with some of my family and friends, like, oh, look what people do. And they're like, well, why doesn't everybody do that?
Sure.
And I started doing it. I was like, well, this is the hardest thing I've ever done. So that's probably why. And then, you grow that confidence over time of doing that again and again. But to be honest, and I'm ashamed and also not ashamed to admit this because it was just part of my journey, I came into this industry pretty selfish, thinking about my goals, what I wanted to accomplish. And then I remember first time a friend of a lifetime, Sean, told me what the transformation this had brought to his life. Just had a new kid and, it paid off a whole bunch of debt. And I was like, this isn't about me. I was like, this is going to bring this isn't just about my dream. And I think my mind started to expand to see what this would be for other people. Continue to bring in friends of a lifetime, people that became friends of a lifetime. And I'm humbled automatically by what this is to so many people. I'm like, this isn't about me making a paycheck. So-and-so needs this to support their kids, to retire their loved ones, to buy that first house, to get out of this incredible deep pit. And this business isn't just money for them. It's transformation into the people they need to be to make that, to be successful in this business. And I think, you say it all the time, competence equals confidence. And I think I've made enough mistakes in this industry from the personal production standpoint to the mentorship standpoint. God has been incredibly gracious and humble, helping me learn and grow through those, that I think I have confidence by what I've seen him do in this business. And there's strength in my hands to do things that I don't think I was ever capable of doing before. And then, man, I'm just humbled by the incredible opportunity and the transformation in people's lives. And I just got to know, even if you have that temptation to have that ego, like, oh, I did that. I didn't. This is way bigger. And I'm incredibly blessed and humbled to be a part of it.
Well said, dude. Well said. Paul, you made a comment. You said, out of, I'm going to misquote the Bible verse, but out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh.
Yeah.
Essentially. There's another Bible verse that kind of ties into that, which is where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.
Yeah.
And Gabe, I want to pass this one to you because you've done such an amazing job. And dude, you've been a very positive force in my life, starting a long time ago, but more so in the last 3-4 years, and how aggressively you give. Most listeners wouldn't know this, dude, but I've watched it. You've taken the large majority of everything you've made in this business and you've given it to these orphanages. And we don't really talk about the orphanages enough, in my opinion. But I know this for you and me in our conversations, when we're having a challenging season, usually the Lord uses stuff like that to kind of give us that refreshment and help us, stay focused on the mission. We got number 7 rocket, right?
Mm-hmm.
So give us an update on that and how has that kind of helped in all areas of the business? Because we've seen a lot of agents get behind this and find a different kind of purpose outside of the money and the success. So take that wherever you want. I think it's a big deal.
Yeah, I think it's unique. It's my journey in insurance and my journey that I started when I got into ministry, and the one path that just God is setting on my life. I mean, they're very parallel. It's like I can't look at them apart. Well, I grew up in an inner city environment, and I got reached through like an inner city youth program, and it made just such a profound change in my life, and God was working in my life. And I got really attached to that program. And I went to college, that's kind of what I was known for. Everybody worked in my ministry, like, oh, everyone's with Gabe, doing that thing in Chicago. And a lot of people in our business today are people who I met doing that. And I remember leaving, like you just referenced me being in West Africa, and really having my mind changed in a lot of different ways. For one, I was absolutely blown away by the quality of people that the missionaries were. I mean, people that were making incredible incomes here that left it to go live off 15 grand to be in a third world country to give their 15 grand a year. Yeah. And people that had health issues. One couple there, they literally got married, took their honeymoon on the mission field. And, she's battling health issues and they have stuff shipped. And like, in my mind, you're like, you should be here, but this is what God wants me to do. And then also just the need. And then God put something in my heart. You know the story well. I was getting ready to leave back to the States, and one of the missionaries was like, hey, you should go check out these orphanages. We stop by, we'll give gifts. And the things that the kids were asking for were basic need things, toiletries and clothes and like stuff. I was like, man, I thought we were going to be giving candy and toys. And I talked to the head missionary about, like, hey, have you thought about having an orphanage? And like I said, someone lives off 15 grand a year, talking about a project that might be 50, 100 grand. They're like, yeah, it'd be great, but I don't know, where that would come from. But when I got into the industry, I told you, I was like, I'm doing this year. That's why, that was like my why. And when the transformation came, when I went and I visited it for the first time, and I stepped there, and at that time there were 30 kids. We just completed a project that will hold a couple hundred. There's 80 there now. So they're moving to that new spot. And I'm hearing their stories, just tragic. Parents passed away, just things. And I'm seeing how happy these kids are. And I'm seeing the transformation in their lives. And it was that moment, there's a verse in the Bible where it talks about, David says, God's strength in my arms. And I felt in that moment, God gave me a strength that I never had known before. And my mind was like, in that moment, like people talking about having like a realization, I realized what God had made me capable of. And I was like, how many times can we, and I felt also like a burden of the responsibility. Like, if I can do this, I should do this. Because this is just an incredible thing for so many people. And that's one of the beautiful things I love about this industry. I see that same click in people's minds who might have been struggling paycheck to paycheck, a single parent like my mom was, struggling to take care of the kids. And then they not only achieve that, and then it's like this click happens when that's no longer the struggle to like, wait, I'm capable of something I never thought before. And you take someone who thought maybe they would only ever struggle and whose only aspiration was to not struggle anymore, who now breathe life into so many people. And so I just love it. I feel like I make that same journey with so many people. And I love seeing that click in people's heads.
I love that, dude. Yeah, it's been amazing to see how the Lord has used that vision, that mission that he called you to directly impact not just the kids and not just the people in these now 7 orphanages, but how many thousands of people here that maybe needed a little extra vision, needed a little extra purpose, including me. So I'm incredibly grateful. Paul made the point, you really become who you surround yourselves with. I think having the right circle, it's very indicative of where you're going in your life. So it's pretty cool to see how that's been such an integral part of the culture inside of our company.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think so many people have inspired me that way. I mean, you helped expand my mind for what could be and do. Paul, I mean, we just really started talking a whole lot recently, but I mean, even your example of just faith in the business and just so much. I joke sometimes, you know, in Bible college, you train to be ministers. We have like crisis counseling, you know, classes, and people are like, oh, you don't use that. Like, oh, I use that like in this business. And I feel you have this ability to breathe kind of life into people and help them, like you just said it, see something that wasn't apparent to them. Maybe they're just looking at darkness and it's like a light flicks on.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there's so many people that have helped make that transformation in my life. And that's why I love Pinnacle. You said it a second ago. We have so many leaders. It's just phenomenal people you get to surround yourself with. You're just constantly growing. I feel like I'm constantly hitting a new level. And I want that for everybody.
I love it.
Well, I'll tell you this, Mike, man, what you just said, it got me thinking like how important it is to remind yourself why you're doing what you're doing. You know, because like there's different things that take place that bring excitement, a new event, something new, right? And but as time goes on, man, it's so easy to lose track of like how good it's been, right? And that you're maybe sitting in a prayer, but now you start to complain about it, right?
Yeah.
And it's just, the reality is like, as you're talking about that, I'm like, man, what a great reminder to go back even to the confidence and like borrow confidence from like what God's already done. You know what I mean? Like how good has he already been, and the vision he gave you, the strength that he gave you to do that. And then keeping that at the forefront of your mind as what we do, it makes such a massive difference, because every family you serve, every agent you help serve a family, it allows you another orphanage. So there's such a ripple effect in this industry. And man, the one thing I do know is there's not many industries out there where you can grow financially like you can here, but also the personal growth is incredible. You know, like where you just grow in every area of your life. Like there's no question that I wouldn't be the spouse I am, the father I am, the man of faith I am, if it wasn't for like this environment, this industry that we're in. But there's also magnifiers to that. And I believe that Pinnacle is a magnifier of that in this industry. And I've been in the industry for a long time, man. Like the crazy thing is I just crossed the year where I've been in the industry longer than I've not been in the industry as far as age goes, right? So like I'm 37 and I got licensed at 19, right? So it's like 18 years I've been doing this thing.
It's crazy to think about, dude.
And not just doing it, but like I'm talking doing it. Like
doing it well.
I don't even remember I was in my 20s. They're like, what did you do in your 20s? I don't know, man. I worked like 7 days a week. I didn't sleep. Like, I don't know what I did. I forgot my 20s. And so like I've been doing this thing, and I'm not seeing like a company that's got this kind of purpose infused, right? Even the opportunity for somebody to give, right? Because that's another hedge of protection against the pride and ego, is every time you give, I believe like you weaken the lock that could take place of pride and ego. You just weaken it, right? And giving the people opportunity to say, hey, this is how you can give, this is where you can give it. They can give wherever they want, but like, of course, now there's an opportunity for them to do it, and then they see what you see, right? And I believe that anytime a vision, you know, Joe, is big enough and it's God's vision, well, that's where something good can happen, right? Because if it's just your vision, you can do it on your own accord, and that ain't a God vision. That's a you vision, and that's not going to make an impact, and that's not going to create significance. I believe that there's a God vision over this organization. You know, Joe, how did you, like, what's the vision initially you had when this company got birthed, and like how is it taking shape, and what's the vision you got down the line? I've seen it, but I'd love for you to share it, man, because
I appreciate the question. This is a really large industry, but also it feels like a really small industry.
Right.
And you would know that better than me, all the years you've been in it. And anyone that's doing anything in our specific niche in this space, like we all know each other. And I think there's a lot of cliches, a lot of nomenclatures that you hear over and over and over and over again. And some of those things that I heard when I was, in a weird spot in my life. I had built a very successful company in the home improvement world. And, in my life, and I'm sure this is true for a lot of people, God has to lower you before he can promote you. And so I was 29, turning 30 that year, had built that company for a number of years, blood, sweat, tears. And to be honest, Paul, I think I had something mixed up in my head. I think my identity was found inside that business. I wouldn't have been able to tell you that at that point in my life. But I had some of my priorities a little bit crossed at 29. And God had to essentially, through COVID-19, blow up my business to get me to a different place and to kind of break down that pride, that ego, and teach me where I was deficient as a leader. And when I first heard about the insurance industry, when Gabe reached out to me, you hear all things, own your own business, sky's the limit on income potential, you get to help all these people reach their income levels and this, that, the other. And you find out very, very quickly that I don't want to paint with a broad brush, but at a lot of companies with a lot of organizations, those are taglines that sound great for recruiting. But once you're actually involved in the culture, I heard one of our top leaders, top producers, he says it all the time. And so it's grilled in my brain. He always says, words whisper, actions scream. And you start to find out that the actions internally do not match the recruiting, the marketing slick. And so, I got 3 years in the industry and I said to myself, man, I'll just be straight up raw in this conversation. I had like a real moral dilemma, Paul, because ultimately I think good entrepreneurs are going to find ways to win no matter where they are. And I was making really good money, and it wasn't a financial decision for me, but I found myself in conversations, in recruiting conversations and mentorship conversations, dealing with people that are close friends of mine, that are business partners of mine. And I got to a point where I go, I don't think that what I said to you 2 years ago, 3 years ago, to get you in this industry, I don't think, it was out of ignorance on my part. I don't think that you can get where you're trying to go in the current vehicle that we're in. And Pinnacle was really birthed out of necessity in Gabe's mind and my mind. I remember the first conversation we had about it. It was, dude, I don't know why I feel this pressing desire. I think we have to go create what we thought we already had. And it's become very apparent that we don't have it. And I don't think Gabe would mind me saying this. Gabe did not like the idea. And he's probably a little bit smarter than me. I embrace pain that I should not embrace sometimes in my life, Paul. No, like I'm the guy that I'm like, oh, there's a fire. I don't even have my fire suit on, but I'm running in, baby. And that was a seed that was planted in that initial conversation that the Lord began to develop. And the thought process was very, very simple. You said it so well a couple times already in this conversation. I believe this industry is the greatest industry, bar none, in the United States today. I think for anybody that wants to start a business and develop themselves, the person you have to become successful in financial services, that's the real game.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hardship, but what's unique about this business, unlike anything that I've ever seen or touched, you're not building towards diminishing returns. And there's a compounding interest effect in your business and in the person that you become, that I knew this was the right industry. I just didn't think that we had the right vehicle. And the mission for us was very, very simple. We need our actions to match our words. We need to put people over profit genuinely in every decision that we make. And we're all part of masterminds, and we have these conversations, and you hear a lot of, intelligent business gurus tell you, you always want to create win-wins inside your business. I agree with that completely. If we can create a win-win-win, and in our business, we need the agent to win, we need the agency owner to win, we need the IMO to win, we need the carrier to win, most importantly, the client to win. If we can create all those scenarios in every transaction, every conversation, then everybody's happy. But in reality, Paul, it doesn't always work out that way. And I think what good leaders do, they're willing to take some L's so that other people can take some dubs. And that's kind of been the story of the last year and a half at Pinnacle, if I could just be honest. And don't get me wrong, we've created an awful lot of win-win-win-win-win scenarios. But I think people over profit means when push comes to shove, are you willing to make a sacrifice and give up something that you thought was going to become a win for you that maybe doesn't turn out the way you initially thought it would? And I often say, you do not know who you're in business with until something doesn't go their way. That's when the metal gets tested. And we wanted to create a culture, an environment where we say we're going to do something and we do it. Period. End of story. If that means we take a loss, we're taking the loss. And there's been plenty of those situations that have come up. And what's insane, Paul, to tie it back in spiritually, every single time that has happened, God rewards us tenfold. I think that's where people need to really pay attention. It's like you can take this really microscopic view on a single interaction or a single situation and get so focused on that small thing. But ultimately, you have to understand we're playing a long game because it's real lives, it's real people, it's real business. And if we can make the right decisions that compound over time, that's where you garner real loyalty inside your organization because people know you have their back and you want them to win at all costs. Part of the mission day one was, and it still is, we've never lost this, and I think it's getting more and more enhanced. I believe Pinnacle has the ability to create more multimillionaires over the next decade or two than have ever been created by a single organization. Is it all about the money? Absolutely not. But when you have everything else that we've just talked about infused into the culture, I think that God uses men and women and God uses money. I'm not scared to talk about money because ultimately, I started going on some of these missions trips, Paul. Dude, I'm like an insanely blessed human being. I grew up in a pastor's home with two amazing parents. I never questioned their love for me. Both of my parents were making six figures in the 90s. They gave that up, left their careers to start a church in inner city Philadelphia. My mom quits her job to homeschool me and my twin sister and the rest of my siblings. Dude, I've had so much poured in and invested into me. You go to these orphanages, Paul, in third world countries, dude, these kids, they don't even know what school is. I remember as a young man, a really stupid young man getting on some stages and saying, dude, it's every man for himself. God gave you the same opportunity he gave me. And I had to pick myself up by my bootstraps and go figure it out. You got to do that too. Dude, that's a really flawed way to look at the world. And when you start meeting different people and you start realizing, no, God, for whatever reason, I don't know how God's economy works and why he gives different people different opportunities. I don't know. But God has blessed my life in such a way that I feel an immense pressure and responsibility. It's a duty. I think about it all day, every day. I have to go serve and help people that haven't been given what I've been given. And if you think my logic is flawed, I challenge anybody to read the parable of the talents. you'll find out that what I'm saying is biblically accurate. And for whatever reason, God has given me what he's given me. He's given you what he's given you. Gabe, the same. And everybody listening, God has given you a unique set of gifts, and he's given you opportunities. We have to steward that well. So, and I promise I'll close this loop. Paul, I don't think about Pinnacle as my company. God placed the thought into my mind and Gabe's mind. We were the founders of the company, but we might own it on paper, dude. But this is God's company that for whatever reason, he's entrusted us to steward.
Yeah.
And there's an awful lot of people that need to be reached that can change their lives in every single area. And if we do our job the right way, we'll teach people how to steward all of the things that they're going to be given. And if that cycle perpetuates, that's where you see real change in people's lives. I think you see real change in an industry. I think you see real change worldwide in a lot of the outreach things that we're doing.
I love that. It makes me think, like, we got to create a course on stewardship, man. Like, how to steward this business, because it's 100% right, man. Like, I think the call is from a standpoint, because, like, you know, the industry is so good, and we can say that as a blanket statement, because no matter what IMO's out there, they're going to have leads, systems. I mean, they're going to have stuff that's going to be comparable for the most part. But the difference is, like, the environment that the person steps into, right? And for me, like, I wanted to create an environment and be a part of an organization that has an environment created that when you step in, if you've got a seed of greatness, if you got the talent in you, right? Maybe that's 2 talents that you're called to steward, that the miracle grow gets thrown on you.
Amen.
The water, the light gets thrown on you. And so can we get that to grow? Can we get that to blossom, you know? And it's funny because in that, as you're saying that, Joe, it's like, you know, when I came into the industry and where I'm at now, like, I've had different talents, and I've had sometimes not as many talents given to me, and sometimes more talents. And the scripture says you're given based off your ability.
Correct.
Like, he gave the one talent based off of his ability. And then what does he do? He buries it, right? And he comes back and say, hey, here's a talent back. Well, what the heck did you do with that? He's like, well, I was scared. So I did nothing. Well, how many people are scared of their financial success, scared of the person they could become? You know, scared of getting out of their comfortable self and the familiar self of who they've always been based off their experiences, their environments, the voices they've heard. But now they step into an environment where we say, "Nah, man, like, let's walk you through this ability class where we can show you that you've got more God-given abilities. And maybe you're making $300,000. Well, maybe God wants you to make $3 million. Why? Because he knows what you're going to do with it. Right?
Yeah.
And so, like, can we increase your talents to maybe now you got 2 and then 5? And it says the guy with 5 turned it into 10. And so he was given even more. Why? Because his ability. And so I just feel like this is an environment where people's ability will raise. And as their ability raises, they're also going to be taught how to steward well. Like, in my life right now, man, I just want to help with stewardship, you know, like, because at the end of the day, if you've got a great blessing, but it's stewarded incorrectly, it's going to be gone. Why? Because you're a wicked servant. You didn't do well with what you were given. And at the end of the day, I think we all have the same goal, like to get to the end of this and say, you know, have the well done, good and faithful servant. Well, it's based off of our stewardship. And the thing I love about you guys, the last thing I'll say, and anything you guys want to add to it, but like, I just feel like some people are playing a finite game.
Yeah.
You know, I love how Simon Sinek, you know, puts it, but like, even in business, it's like, well, once I get here, then I'll be good. Once I make 10, whatever it is, whatever the number they've conjured up to say, hey, I'm good. And then I'm good. Well, I mean, we're not playing a finite game. We're playing an infinite game. Like, this thing always goes on. What, Gabe, you're doing, man, that's an infinite move. Like, this orphanage is going to live on. Like, when you're gone, dude, generations are going to be impacted. There's going to be people in different countries that, you know, because of the act and the service and the generosity and the stewardship that you did, it's going to be forever changed. And I just don't get any of this finite vision from anybody in this, you know, from you, Joe, from you, Gabe, from Mike. I don't get that. I get this infinite, like, we're moving on purpose, which, what does that mean? It means there's no end goal, which means that we're going to find contentment throughout the entire journey, because the journey never ends. There's always somebody else out there to impact, to help with their ability, to help with the stewardship. And I just feel like it's going to be powerful, man. I'm excited about it.
I love it. I want to close with this thought, and Gabe, you could add anything you want. I saw an interview recently, an NFL quarterback I saw it yesterday, is going into his 11th year, and he has no rings, never won the big game, never made it to the big game. And he was interviewed, and the person that interviewed him said, hey man, in going into your 11th year, do you feel a sense of disappointment that you haven't gotten to the Super Bowl and you've never gotten to hoist that trophy and get one of those rings? And he gave a really interesting answer. Like, I expected, yeah, man, I'm really frustrated about it, et cetera, et cetera. It sucks, whatever. And he goes, truth be told, I don't. He's like, if I can go back in time and I had different expectations for myself, I would feel that way. He said, but I remember as a young man, as a teenager, I just prayed to God that I would make it. Just prayed that I would make it. He's like, and in my head, I never specified what making it meant. He's like, just making it to the league was, in my head, like the ultimate, that finite thinking, the ultimate game. And once I made it, I was going to be good. It's like, I never thought I'd play 11 years. I never thought I'd still be playing. And I never thought to ask God specifically, help me to win the ring, help me to get to the big game, because what would my influence impact be if I just dreamed a little bit bigger and worked harder to develop my talent to get to that big game? And I think the thought that just really hit me hard was, too many people, they're thinking too small, and they're playing such a small game. And we see it all the time. You see people, they do grow. They're a 1 talent, 2 talent person. They grab those talents. They get to $250,000 a year. They get to $300,000 a year. They impact a few dozen people, a few hundred people, and they get complacent because in their head they've already kind of made it, and they've outshot their dream.
Very good.
And we need people to think a whole lot bigger, because life, the one thing that is finite is the time that we have here, dude.
Yeah.
That is finite. So what can I do in my life to make my impact infinite? That is a thought that if we get enough people to start thinking in that manner, dude, you change an entire generation.
Absolutely.
And not to go super spiritual here, I was very nervous as a teenager to talk to strangers. Like, I grew up with like a speech impediment, and when I got reached by the inner city youth program, they would encourage you to go share your faith. And so invite people to church. I was like, I do not. I was like, I'd go somebody else and be like, well, you talk.
Yeah, where's my area? Where's my area? My mother's over here.
Right. And I remember when the concept, exactly what we're talking about, was put in my head, to where, hey, like, this isn't just you and me and this person and them visiting a church. Like, this is a chance to have an eternal impact. And then I remember when that idea was put in my head, it's like, well, what discomfort is not worth it? If I could really have that kind of impact on someone else. I overcame my fear, and, I was terrified talking to strangers, like one-on-one. I'm more comfortable talking to a group than I am one-on-one person, and so I'm just terrified sharing this stuff with people. But that is the journey that set me on where I am today. And it's still the leading motivator in what I'm doing. Like, in the work that I'm doing gonna have this enormous, huge impact, eternal impact on people's lives? And I feel it, and I couldn't ask for a better motivation.
Great way to end. If you're listening in on this and what we talked about resonated with you, Paul mentioned a few different times, you need to get around the right people, the right mentors. You borrow that confidence. You borrow that vision until God gives you your own. That is step one. We would love to partner with you. We'd love to help you change your life, not just for you, so that you can pay that forward, make a much bigger impact. So we'd love to hear from you. Give us some good feedback. Hopefully you enjoyed some of the content here today. Let's get to the pinnacle.